What's up, guys? HOTSHOTFRONTIER back at it again with another video. And in this video, guys, I want to go ahead and do a budget tier list post Fire King structure deck. So as you guys know, we're in a very special spot right now with Yu-Gi-Oh! The Rarity Collection came out last month that gave us some insane reprints. Plus, with the Fire King structure deck coming out next week, I thought it'd be perfect to do a budget tier list to see where all these decks stack up. Now, if you guys don't see your deck up here, let me know. I'll add it into the next list. And also, of course, let me know if you enjoyed the video and the conversation. Consider subscribing to the channel. But let's get into the first one. We have Sword Soul. So personally for me, I would put Sword Soul at A tier. Despite the deck having issues with the current meta, this deck is actually still amazing in terms of a budget deck. You have Barone, that was a card that was like 40, 50, 60 bucks, is now like a $2 super card. Pretty insane. And personally, if you can learn the combos correctly and of course be able to adapt to any situation with this deck, you can do very well with it at an event for sure. And it's very insanely budget. So moving on, we have Exo Sisters, and I would definitely put that at A tier as well. We have the Exo Sister cards, the Magnifica, which was about I think 11, 12 bucks, and you usually run 2 or 3. It's a very good card to have in the extra deck. Now, it's the most expensive card too because the rest of the Exo Sister cards are actually pretty cheap. And I love decks that play D-Shifter, and this deck plays D-Shifter, so you can compete with the current meta as well. Now, with the Rarity Collection, of course, cards got reprinted, and something like D-Shifter also got reprinted. So it just kind of lowers the cost of the deck. And personally, maybe we'll see this win at a large event at some point, but I have hope for the deck. It's a great strategy. I think it deserves to be an A tier, but what do you guys think? Let me know down below, of course. Going on to our next one, we have Trap Trick, and Trap Trick, I would actually put this at B tier. So Trap Trick itself is very, very affordable. You can just get 3 structure decks and work from there. Now you could add cards like the Star Slayer into the deck to kind of give it more of a boost, but personally, as a trap-based deck, it hasn't seen much play in terms of decks like Labyrinth, and I do enjoy the strategy, and I love decks that you can just pick up 3 structure decks and there you go. But since it came out, it has seen less and less play, and I don't want to, bring it down all the way to like its budget, but it's definitely a amazing trap-based strategy. I think it just needs a little more of a push to kind of get it up to higher tiers. Going on to our next one, we have RDA, and RDA I will also put at B tier, maybe above Trap Trick if we're gonna like label them. So RDA also has its issues. When we see less Bestials, Bestials being used in the format, because we're not really afraid of darks and lights in the format at all, RDA sort of goes down too. And the same thing can be said with Blackwing in a way, because again, the Bestials help the deck so much that it's a little hard to play without them. So personally for me, this deck is at an interesting spot. We have to see where it's going to go, but if it can kind of replace that engine, then it will definitely see more success, in the current meta. Now, the deck itself is very cheap. You can pick up, of course, 3 structure decks and you're pretty much good. You can add a few, other cards outside of that, but with the core cards you're getting from that structure deck, you're doing solid, personally. Moving on, we have Salamangreat. Salamangreat is, I'm going to put C tier. So in terms of a budget tier list, Salamangreat is lower because a lot of the cards in the deck, like the Link 4 here, is actually like 30 bucks. And the Salamangreat of Fire, which you need like 3 of, is about 17, 18 bucks. At one point, it was like 30 bucks a copy. So it's a weird trade-off because, again, the cards are expensive. Plus, the performance of the deck isn't at the best at the current moment, but it is still an amazing strategy, especially for a Cyber strategy. Next up, we have Wat Tuna, or Watts to be specific. I'm going to put this at its budget, but it might be too budget. I like the new support cards that came out in Age of Overlord. I just think that they're not, impactful in terms of versing other decks in the current meta game. Now, maybe adding a new engine with it might boost the consistency and of course the power of the deck, but only time will tell with that. Now, going on to our next one, we have Drytron, and Drytron I'll put in B tier. It is still a very strong deck, and it's extremely budget. The cards inside are very cheap, and you can play cards like Vanity's Fiend and Vanity's Ruler if you want. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Drytron, but personally, for the price you can pick it up, it's not a bad idea to pick it up and try the deck and see if you like it. Going on to our next one, we have Black Wings, and Black Wings, of course, my favorite deck. I love this deck. Personally, with RDA, the Bestials make it stronger, so having to remove them makes it slightly weaker. Personally, you want to keep this as consistent as possible. Every card matters, and using cards like Small World and Pot of Prosperity really boosts the consistency of the deck. Now, this deck can, of course, make the Calamity Lock, which is really cool if you guys didn't see. I did a deck profile, combo video, test hands on that. You guys can go ahead and check that out. But personally for me, I do like the Black Winged Assault Dragon having 3 on field. So you're pretty much burning your opponent. They're only actually able to activate, I believe it's 3 or 4 effects, which is kind of crazy still. So personally, the deck has a lot of potential, and I can't wait to see what more support it gets, plus what other engines I can run inside of it. So definitely B tier. Worth trying out personally for me. Next up is Sharks, and Sharks I'm actually put at B tier. They're insanely cheap to build. You play totally awesome. The new XYZ monster is very strong for the strategy. Personally, I think it needs more in terms of support, but for what it is right now, in terms of it being cheap, it is cheap, and it's actually perfect. If you guys definitely want to try it, I would recommend it. Going on to our next one, we have finally Fire Kings, the revamped version, putting that S tier. Personally for me, this deck, this structure deck, is probably one of the best ones we're getting in a while. Now, of course, so you guys, if you didn't play Fire Kings before, they were a very strong deck. Now, seeing the new support from this set, you're actually getting a lot. So you're getting staples in here. You're getting Droll and Lockbird. You're getting Herald of the Abyss, Infinite Impermanence as a common. The Fire Kings themselves are very strong, and you can do a lot off of just the 3 structure decks. Personally, I think after the RDA structure came out, they added more cards in terms of structure decks. So you're getting a lot of value for this. For $30, that's not bad. You can play the Dogmatica engine. You can, of course, play Tri-Brigade too. Sinful Spoils has a lot of options. So personally, I can't wait to see how this deck flourishes and see where it stands in the current meta after. But of course, let me know down below how you guys feel. Personally, for me, I'm going to show you guys, I can't wait to show you guys a 3 structure deck with this build. So definitely look forward to that. But let's go ahead and get into our next one, and that is, of course, the Pirate Monsters, which I don't know why I'm forgetting their names right now. That's crazy. But we're going to go ahead and put this at actually A tier, and reason being is that mixed with Runic, which you guys know is like one of the most optimal builds with it, or the Adventure Engine, which I haven't seen in a while personally, but the cards are very cheap. Mixed with the Runic stuff is also very cheap, and it does very well. Runic will negate, it will destroy, will protect your monsters, and the monsters themselves, depending on the attribute of your opponent, they can go and trade very well. So personally for me, it's a very good strategy to pick up, and at an amazing price. Going on to Dinomorphia. Dinomorphia, I don't know. Personally, I would actually put it at B tier. It's insanely cheap to pick up. It did get a new support card out of Age of Overlord, I believe. It was a common monster, but personally, it's a very good deck in terms of if you want to pick up a cheap trap deck, it's very interesting, and it's a nice strategy. You're always like halving your life points, getting to like the lowest possible life point there is, and you're still kind of surviving and also just kind of trying to kill your opponent at the same time. So it's a very fun strategy, and for the price it's at, it's insanely cheap. It got reprinted cards from the latest Megaton, of course. So personally, I would at least try the deck out and see if you like it. Going on to our next one, we have Pendulums, and Pendulums I'm actually put at A tier. So reason being is that I feel like these cards have been slept on. Like, if you guys don't know, that new Link monster we got from Age of Overlord, it allows an extra Pendulum summon. Like, that's kind of insane. I feel like Pendulums are highly slept on right now, and you can definitely build the deck for about 50, maybe even less, honestly. The cards are inside are just, they're so good. They're definitely so good. And a lot of the staples you can get from the Rarity Collection, of course, will make the deck even cheaper. I promise you. So moving on, we have Kashtira, and Kashtira for me, I wouldn't say it's like, would it be C tier or would it be like low B tier? Personally, it would probably be its budget, but no, it would be C tier. Yeah, definitely C tier, because you're playing Fenrir's. They're about well, the ultis are 40s. The prismatic ones are about 20s, so that's like 60 right there. So it's not too bad personally, but compared to the other budget decks, you're getting more value in terms of the combos and what they can do. Casture has been just watered down at this point, and I don't think it's going to recover. Plus, you're also playing the 3 field spells that are about 20 each. So yeah, definitely a lot of better strategies you could be playing and trying from this list. Dark Worlds, though, really cool to see Dark Worlds. In terms of the structure deck, you can grab 3, kind of just go at it. They do come with danger monsters, which are very nice for the strategy, of course. Now you can add other cards in the deck after, but cards like the rank 8, what is it called? Coach King monster, which actually is getting reprinted in the Fire King structure deck. So it will be like $1. It won't be like 11, 12 for a common, which is really nice too. You want to save as much as you possibly can, guys. So personally, also mixed with the Ken and Jen monsters, which are common cards too. Really good strategy. Personally, like really good. Has high potential. I'm actually gonna put this at S tier. It'll be low S tier, but 100%. It deserves that spot. Moving on, we have Labyrinth, and it also goes to S tier. I don't know if I want to put Labyrinth at the beginning, but I'll put it in the middle. So cards are insanely cheap. The Welcome Labyrinth is about, I want to say $20, or it might be the other one that I'm referring to, but pretty much everything else got reprinted in the Megatins, so you can pick up that strategy fairly cheap. And you can change it from like you want to go mid-range or just go set 5 pass, whichever one you want to do. You can run the furniture monsters, which they originally did in the beginning. So a lot of ways to play the deck. And personally for me, I'm really happy that this deck is budget for sure. Going on to Makonko. I'm going to put Makonko at A tier. Makonko is a very good strategy in terms of going second. You can go first. Yugioh has been doing a lot with the deck. It's been crazy, the Makonko, but yeah, it's a crazy archetype to work with, and it's insanely cheap. Makonko cards themselves are like around the $12, $13, price point, but other than that, like it's insanely cheap. And you can make it expensive if you want, but personally, making it insanely cheap is really nice too. Playing cards like Axe of Fools, like cards that you haven't seen in a while. It's nice to kind of bring nostalgic feelings back into the current metagame. It's great. Moving on, we have Crystal Beast. Crystal Beast, we're gonna put at its budget, but unfortunately, pick up 3 structure decks if you want. But personally, for me, yeah, it's budget, but they just don't do enough currently. And even with the plethora of rank 4 monsters we have in the game, like really good ones like a Fish Dweller, it's just not enough, unfortunately. Going on to our next one, we have Scareclaw. And Scareclaw, I would put Scareclaw at, I don't want to say it's budget, but I'll say bottom of B tier. It's a very good strategy. You can use the Daruma Cannon card, the trap card, and it actually will help the strategy a lot. Now, you also can play cards like, some of the Vanadium cards if you want to make the strategy work, or slowly work up to playing Vanadium itself. But personally, it's really cheap, and it's a nice link-based strategy to try, especially if you're a beginner, for sure. Now, tier limits. Tier limits are actually pretty cheap. Like, I would actually put tier limits, I might actually put it low of S tier, personally. Maybe above Dark World, actually, because personally, tier limits, you guys know that it just keeps getting hit, but it's doing well, and it's not too expensive. Like the Perlino, the field spell, is about $20 right now. You get 3, that's 60. That's pretty much the most expensive card in the deck, I believe. Other than that, if I'm wrong, let me know down below, of course, but that's not bad for a deck that was top of meta. Like, that's crazy. Tier 0 format, remember? We have Marine Cess now. Marine Cess, I feel like, is always solid. Personally, it's hard to go second with the deck, but in terms of it being budget, it's extremely cheap to play. So I'm definitely going to put that at A tier. Going on to Flunderies. I'll put that at, I'll put it above tier limit for sure. This deck has always been a budget deck in terms of just, the cards inside are insanely cheap. You have cards like Pot of Prosperity, reprinted. Harpy's Featherstorm, reprinted. So it's crazy that, we haven't even seen any like bans from the deck, anything like that, no hits. Because personally, I think once they hit the statue, that was pretty much it. Like, now it's like, all right, you guys are on your own. let's see how you still do, and they're still doing amazing. Going on to the next one, we have Virtual World. And Virtual World, I wanted to say the deck was good because, you know, personally after Duelist Nexus with the Crimson Dragon support, it would be a lot better, but unfortunately it's just still not it. And I'm gonna put it at its budget, but it's not as consistent as it could be. And at that point, you're playing other Calamity Lock strategies. Going on to our final one, we have Dinos. And Dinos, I'm going to put Dinos at low of A tier. So I love the deck. There's not like too many expensive cards you need to play. The Duelist Nexus support, of course, with the rank 4 monster is very nice. We just need to see some unbanning of certain cards like Miscellaneous Source, but personally, everything is not like fairly expensive. Actually, I will put it at B tier because the support it did get in the side set is still kind of slightly expensive. So, and it does make the deck a lot better than, you know, a lot of like strategies on here. Personally, wait until some of those cards go down, and I would just highly pick them up. Like the spell card is like $30. If that goes down a little bit, definitely I could see it going to A, possibly S, depending on the performance, of course. But it looks like that's the end of our conversation today. If you guys liked the video, make sure you give it a huge like. Comment down below if you enjoyed our picks. If not, where would you put certain decks? And if you guys are not subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell so you're updated the moment I upload new videos. But guys, that's it for me. Hope you have a great rest of your day or night, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.